Lear had never seen an unclothed woman before, old or young, only little Nora on wash day, lying in the copper tub, whereas she had been a girl of 4 or 5. The effect of a naked princess was startling. The print of silvery hair at the groin, the pockets of flesh floating one over the other, the bosom flattened by age and gravity. Dorothy murmured, "Goodness," as if she thought she must be witnessing exactly the opposite. If this was magic, it was spelling time. The princess' nose was lengthening, uncoiling, the skin on her cement-colored cheeks stretched and thickened ephibolically. Her eyes, which had been little more than slits in the folds of her face, lost their ovate shape, rounded marbles, and a net of fine hair sprouted on her brown plate. Her cheeks and chin and dramatically hostile nose and ears, yes, they were capable, and then some. More or less like an elephant head, though not planted on an elephant body. "Perhaps I would have thought of giving you more warning," she said. "Seems I've upset the girl." Dorothy was retching her apron, and her dog appeared to have had a nervous fit and passed out. "I have little use for niceties at this stage of my life, though." Lear didn't trust himself to speak. "I am an elephant," said the Princess Nastoya. "From the wizard's programs against the animals. I've been hiding as a human all these years. I've been admired by this grove for my longevity and what passes for my wisdom. In exchange for their protection for a home in the 1,000 years grasslands, I have performed my duty as a leader. But as of late, young boy thing, I am capable to shuck off my disguise with the ease I once had. Though elephants pretend to immortality, I believe I am dying. I must not be allowed to die in this half form. I will die as an elephant, but I need help." "How can I be of service?" asked Lear. "As if I could do anything," he added to himself. "I don't know," said the Princess Nastoya. "I once told Ethelba Throp that if she needed help, she was only to send the word, and I would put all my resources under her command. I never thought that would happen, that the time would come for me to apply to her for her knowledge of animals, her native skill at spells and charms. But I have started too late. I have seen, for your companion has murdered my only hope." "Dorothy does not know," said Lear. "Any murder at all, of any sort, is a murder of hope, too." "It's disgusting, actually," whispered the Lion to the Tin Woodsman. "Do you know, my stomach is turning as we speak." "I don't have a talent at spells," said Lear, "if that's what you're asking." "How do you know?" asked the princess. "Have you tried? Have you studied?" "I'm not a good student, and furthermore, I'm not much interested." The huge proboscis whipped up from nowhere. Her nose digits grabbed its chin. She would crush his skull, chin first. "Get interested," she said. "Get interested or get help. If you're not to be murdered for your crimes against Elphaba, and that might yet happen, get yourself enough knowledge from someone somewhere to help." "Was there a book, a grimoire? Did Elphaba have associates?" "I don't know how long it takes, but come back to me. I can't die like this. I won't. In the end, all disguises must drop." "You must confuse me with somebody else," he said. "Someone with competence. Someone I've never met." "This isn't a request," she said. "It's an order. I'm a colleague of Elphaba's." She lifted her nasal limb from Lear's chin, blew her own horn in his face. His eyes stewed in his skull, and some of the hair at the front of his scalp was raked bloodily away by the force of the blast. "If you claim to be a relation to the witches, you will figure out what to do." She always could. "Well, not always," Dorothy corrected her helpfully, as in woefully apparent at this moment in time. "I will pay you," concluded the princess, apparently addressing Lear alone. "I will keep my ears to the ground for a word of your abducted friend. Fierra's cub, Nor. Nor, was it? Come back to me with a solution. I will tell you all I've been able to learn in the meantime." Lear couldn't speak, but he held out his hands, palms up in a gesture he couldn't read. Accepting the task, protesting his inadequacy, whatever, it didn't matter. The princess was done with him. She turned her massive elephant head wobbling on its all-too-human spine, and a dozen squirrels rushing to catch her up. They cloaked the acreage of her buttocks, as if to protect her from some sort of me anyway that would never attach itself to her. Even the half-thing, trapped in a decaying spell, she was too much of herself for shame to apply. She didn't keep one of us as a hostage, says Reliant, almost delirious. Was sure it was going to be me, but I could never have dealt with it. She trusted us, said Lear. They settled down in a pattern of traipsing day after day, under skies of broken cloud and brittle light. To avoid the wizard's army, they kept up to the western bays of the Great Kells. In place of the upright thrust of the mound, rose from glass land floors cleanly. The front was a corn crib meet the level floor. One could almost mark with a pencil where the plane stopped and the slope began. They rested where they could. At least it wasn't a bad time of year to making their way cross country. They skirted the edge of the Thousand Years grasslands and in a single file on the fringe of a carpet of prairie. After several weeks, they reached the verdant apron that rose into the gorge-nosed Cambricious Pass, a high fertility valley affording to the quickest way through the central Kells. Lee remembered it vaguely from years past. The air was dense and damp, and the ground quilted with decaying vegetation. If Princess Nastoya had not been able to engage the local Yanomata tribes in a treaty against the wizard, it wasn't like she had been able to expend her offers of protection through the territory either. But the Yanomata kept themselves hidden, as was their way. Beyond, heading downslope towards the Vingus River and eventually the Emerald City, the road seemed cold and sore. The year was moving on. The occasional foothill farmhouses were crude, almost derelict, roofing thatch thick with mildew, gardens thin on the ground. If bread was offered, it was offered solemnly. No locals would take them in or provide them anything like a mattress. The corner of a barn and blanket crusty with pigeon droppings were the best travelers could hope for. Still exhausted with plodding, they slept hard and dreamlessly. To Lear, it wasn't a question of how many days or weeks it took to reach the Emerald City, but how many hours a day he had to trudge before he could sink back into a safe sleep again. Not to sleep, something richer, blissful annihilation, so he could forget the sideways throb of his flattening heart again. You. He kept the thought of Elphaba there, unwillingly. It pressed painfully against membranes so interior he had never known there existed before. I hated you. You left me, so I hate you more than I used to. The Kells dwindled. The scrubby flatland spread in its waste in fields of shadowstone. Oak hair forest began first to fringe the horizon, and then to loom with oak hair breath and the sound of wind in their leaves. Little of this registered on Lear without him wanting to say, "Look, the world hated you so much that you left it behind. It was so weird. I can see why." He couldn't say this. He could hardly think of it, with Dorothy rabbiting on about Auntie Em and Uncle Henry and various forgettable farm hands. Elphaba, thought Lear. Elphaba, he thought. Elphaba, the world without you. How am I to manage? And I'm going to stop it right there. Thanks for listening.